Evening and joining us on live streaming. Uh, begin keeping feet square on the floor with straight back. Sit, bring in the eye and Is everybody okay? Lovely. One of the joys of living here in County Kerry is the opportunity to go down to the coast, down by Waterville and on the area down there, and of course a little bit further around St Finnan's Bay, and have a look across at Skellig Michael, that wonderful spiritual home of Irish monasticism. Beautiful place. And of course the chocolate factory that is just across the water there. But one of the things that I observe when I try to go down there for a day or two each week, one of the things I observe is the regularity of the weather. You can watch the weather coming in off the Atlantic Ocean, and it comes in towards that area of Ireland. So the Iveragh Peninsula and Bantry and Dingle Peninsula, all of that corner of the island, it bears the brunt of the weather. And you can see the cloud formations and the weather fronts coming in from a great distance. And one day you'll have thick cloud and rain and blustery wind and such like, and the next day absolute calm, clear blue skies, fluffy little white clouds here and there, an absolute contrast. And it reminded me of the experience of meditation, where we find that sometimes in our meditation it's like that cloud bank, in the thick of the mist, and it's raining and it's blowing and it's miserable and wet, and we feel wretched. And then another time we do it and it feels beautiful and pure and light and refreshing. And the two seem to alternate quite often. And it got me thinking about the way in which we engage with these two different kinds of experience, the way in which we appreciate or not, as the case may be, the different states of our meditation. The one part of our meditation where we struggle, where we feel very agitated, our mind is confused, there's too many thoughts in there, we can't hang on to our sacred word, our mantra, very easily. And those are very difficult and trying times, but they are an essential part of the meditation experience. It is necessary that that happens. That's absolutely necessary that that happens. And then sometimes we experience the calmness and the quietness and the peace, where our mind is untroubled and our heart is stilled, and we feel that tranquility and that warmth inside us. The two go together, just like the weather. Why is it necessary? Why is the turbulence necessary? Good question. Very good question. Dennis has asked why the turbulence is necessary, the agitation of the mind. It is the direct effect of the use of the sacred word, the mantra, that its design and intention is to take us spiritually into the deeper place where we receive psychological, emotional and spiritual healing from the presence of the Holy Spirit. So as the sacred word, the mantra, takes us into that area, it necessarily kicks off little bits of stress and damage that has been done to us during our lives, that has been held in there, inside us. And it kicks off these little, as it were, these little nuggets of stress. And that then comes to the surface of our consciousness. It appears to our outer senses as a feeling of pain or anxiety or a turbulence of thinking in the mind. And the teaching in the meditation is that we actually allow that to dissipate. We pay no attention to it except to notice it and let it go. And that's a crucial part of our healing. And in the same way as you have led me exactly to the point I need, Dennis, and thank you for that. He's very good at doing that, is Dennis. He leads me exactly to where I need to be. When we watch the weather front coming in onto the west coast of Ireland, when I sit there and watch them coming in, you need that weather front and the turbulence behind it, all the cloud formations and the rain and the, have you noticed a great rushing wind precedes a cloud of rain? Yeah, all of that is absolutely crucial to the nature of weather, because if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't get the refreshment of the calmness behind it. Yeah, it's like a trough and a wave. It keeps coming, and you need the one in order to benefit from the other. Yeah. So in our meditation, we get that turbulence in order to free us up to be able to recognize and appreciate the calmness that comes after it. So I want to ask you a question then. Just think for a moment, which is your favorite state, the turbulent state or the peaceful state in your meditation? That's a kind of a loaded question, really. But I want to ask you the question a different way. Jesus was a great one for telling stories, and it seems to me that he would have loved the Irish people, because they love stories as well. In that sense, Jesus was a great one for telling parables. And the one parable that he told that comes to mind is the parable where he ends up with the punchline, the little kick in the tail, if you will, of the parable. And he says, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. Yeah? Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. So, if you have said to me in answer to my question that you prefer the tranquil state as the nicer one, then I have to say, okay, so which do you value more? Do you value the turbulence or the tranquility more? Right. Okay. Now you notice I've asked you a subtly different question. On the one side, we have the treasure, and on the other side, we have the value. Yeah? The things we value, we will go to considerable lengths to protect, to secure, to nourish. The things we value. Okay? But quite often when we talk about treasure, what we're talking about is an emotional thing, something that grabs hold of us and rules us. Yeah? Quite often that is, and that's the sense of the parable, that Jesus is taking the one thing and he's using it two ways. He's using it in opposite ways. Yeah, that's the great thing about a parable. You get the kick and it tells you the opposite of what you expected. Yeah? So this idea that where our treasure is, there our heart is also. The treasure we think of as the lovely things that attract us, and we rush out to acquire, to possess, and we feel great pain and loss when we lose them. Yeah, we feel that pain of separation from the things, because the treasures are attached to our emotional capacity, whereas value is attached to our spiritual capacity. Value is about a spiritual approach, and treasure in this other sense is about an emotional connection. And emotions are volatile. Emotions are transitory. So the point of the parable, as we apply it to our meditation practice, is that as we learn to attach value to that which we are seeking through our meditation, which is a closeness with God and the peace and tranquility that comes with deep meditation, That is the value aspect of it. So the treasure, the emotional aspect of it, is the turbulence of our inner volatility, our emotional capacity for anger, for stress, for hatred, for reactivity. All of these kinds of things come from that side, which is engendered in the heart. And that's physically where we feel it, here, in the center of our chest. And the closest organ there is the heart. So we attach it metaphorically. We say when we feel great pain, our heart is broken. Yeah? That's where we feel it, here, in the center, next to the heart. And the meditation is getting us used to the fact that we can actually let go of that. That pain and emotion that we experience, we can let go of it. It is a transitory thing. It is not something that we should attach value to. And that is why we notice it and then ignore it and let it disappear and go straight back to our sacred word, our mantra. Yeah? So a very clear distinction here in Jesus' teaching between the notion of treasure, which is allied to a volatile, reactive sort of way of being, and value, which is attached to the deeper truths of our faith and of our calling as people made in the image of God. So our meditation is part of our learning the difference between them. Okay? So it's good to welcome the rain and the clouds and the things like that and let them pass. So if I see a rainy cloud coming across the hill, I just sit in my comfortable chair looking out the window and say hello to it and then ignore it. Then it goes past. You see, the point there is that it doesn't affect me, it doesn't intrude, it doesn't take over my emotional state. The same is the case with our thoughts and our feelings that are coming up through our meditation. Let them evaporate and then they're gone. And that is a healing process. And then subsequently, when we find the tranquility that comes from that healing, that is where we learn the nature of value. Because value is intrinsic, it is eternal, and it is where the presence of God is to be found. So, in the coming days, if you're practicing your meditation, just hook your thought onto the notion of value, and value that which comes from God. You don't need to think about it, just attach yourself to it, and then continue your meditation, and that will help your transition between the one and the other. Yeah? So hopefully that will assist you in your practice of meditation, and thank you very much all of you for coming here this evening to share with us, and thank you to those who have joined us on the internet through our YouTube live streaming channel. So God bless you all, and we'll see you around again. Bye-bye.